Welcome to the Life of PHYS podcast, where raw conversations explore creativity, resilience, and the human stories behind art and movement. I'm your host, Tyson Martin. Today's guest is Cheriss May, an award-winning portrait and editorial photographer based in Washington, D.C. Cheriss is widely recognized for her ability to authentically connect with her subjects, creating images that tell powerful stories of resilience, identity, and community. She serves on the board of directors at Focus on the Story, is the past president of Women Photojournalists of Washington, the co-chair of photography at the National Press Club, an Adobe Education Leader, and a professor at Howard University, her alma mater. Cheriss has been commissioned by leading organizations such as Spotify, Adobe, Leica, the Financial Times, the Center for Creative Photography, and the International Center of Photography. Her work has been featured in New York Magazine, O Magazine, the White House website, People Magazine, the San Francisco Chronicle, ABC News, The Today Show, and other international publications. Her traveling exhibit and forthcoming book, Soul Connection, continues her mission of inclusive storytelling. Her work is also part of BET's Content for Change campaign and is held in the permanent collections of the African American Museum in Philadelphia and the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture in Harlem, New York. Now let's get to the show.
So my name is Cheriss May, and I am originally from Kansas City, Missouri, in the Midwest. Howard University brought me to Washington, D.C. That's what first brought me to this area. And for me, picking up the camera started out as a childhood curiosity. And then from a childhood curiosity, it was a hobby. And then, well, let me back up. With the childhood curiosity, that was actually encouraged by my family because my mom was a business school teacher in high school, and she was the advisor for the school yearbook. So she's the one who first brought a camera into the house. And so when she brought this camera, and it was a film camera, she brought it into the house, I was curious about it. So I asked to play with it, and she let me play with the camera. And so that was my kind of first introduction hands-on. But growing up, I never considered photography as a career. Like growing up, I knew I wanted to do something creative. I thought it was going to be because I used to like draw and color and those things. So I used to grow up saying, I'm going to be a designer. I'm going to be a graphic designer. And that's where my head was. And so my focus, my interest and everything was there. But the camera had become something of starting out with that childhood curiosity. But then I became like the unofficial family photographer. And so I would show up at all the family events, birthdays and holidays with my camera, and I would take pictures of my family, just enjoying each other, enjoying the holiday, spending time together. And I don't know how good the pictures were, but my family really encouraged me in that, and they made me feel like, I was taking the best pictures ever. And, they would ask me, "Where's your camera?" Like when I would come around. And so I have to give credit to my parents, my mom and dad, who saw that interest and they actually encouraged me in that. And so each Christmas they would upgrade my camera. And so, I started out with something playing around with my mom's camera and then for the first time got my own camera and they just start upgrading it each Christmas, which seeing the joy on my family's face, the encouragement from my family and my parents, just pouring into me. I don't think they realized, and I didn't realize really, that they were kind of encouraging this love for photography. And so fast forward to, it's a hobby. I remember taking a class in high school as an elective, still not considering photography as a career. Taking it as an elective and making a shoebox camera. And in making that shoebox camera, that was like kind of my first introduction to darkroom. And, for me, it was just, I'm having fun. Like I enjoy this, not thinking anything beyond, I'm having fun. Fast forward to college, coming to Washington, D.C. to go to Howard University. HU, you know. I always have to do that, Tyson. I
It's
always
all
have to do
good. I
that.
love it.
I'm doing my own call and response. But I came to Howard and decided to major in advertising. And the way Howard is set up, advertising is not in the school business, it's in the school of communications and it's under the journalism program. And so that was my real introduction to some intro journalism classes. Never did school yearbook, high school or college, never considered that. But my minor was in our School of Fine Arts, and my minor was electronic studio, which is where I learned the software programs. I did some animation classes and, pursuing my graphic design. So still just taking pictures because I love to take pictures, enjoying that. I took an elective class at Howard, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm just going to have fun and just roam around, take some pictures. But the professor was like really serious. And this was like an elective to me. And I didn't know like I would be so like entrenched in rule of thirds and, composition things. And it was dark room. And I was excited to like kind of get in the dark room just because it was something different, something new. And it really had me thinking about the rules of photography because before this point of taking this elective, I had no idea about what the rules of photography were. So I learned some of that terminology, the rules, and just kind of a different way to look at things. Still pursuing graphic design. Got recruited by Gannett to do graphic design for their newspapers. And that was my first time really delving into journalism. I had no idea what I was getting into. Um, I went to a paper in Tennessee, a small paper in Jackson, Tennessee. The circulation of that paper was like 30,000. But what that paper did for me was because it was so small, it allowed me to experiment. It forced me to do the different things that I wasn't even hired to do to get the paper out of the door. So, I was writing, I wrote a column, started writing column there. I started to my boss, so I was in the features department doing the graphic design for that. And so I would lay the pages out, I would do the graphics and things like that. But about a couple weeks in, my boss, who was the assistant managing editor for features, decided that she didn't want to be editor anymore and she wanted to go back to writing, being a senior writer. So she stepped down and, they didn't have anyone to assume her position, to go to the budget meetings, coordinate with the reporters. So here I am, just coming in. Mind you, I had never worked for a newspaper in my life. I'm learning on the go. It's like trial by fire, like, sink or swim situation. And the managing editor turns to me and was like, well, we need you to step in and like really help keep the section going. I'm like, what? What? I don't know how to, understand this. So I would go to the budget meetings. I would coordinate with reporters. I essentially was doing the job of my boss because now she's a senior writer. I'm back in, like at this time, being a small paper, they would do the printing like on site, like where we were. So I experienced the paste up shop where I would go back and with an X-Acto knife, the way corrections were made, not looking at computers, how you can just like delete and paste over and things like that. You had to manually do it. And that meant taking a ruler and an X-Acto knife and cutting out letters and then pasting the replacement letters to make any kind of spelling corrections or if you had to take a sentence out. And then that's what they would use to put on the printing plate. So all of that for me, what it did was it helped me to learn things very quickly and gave me a lot of experience very quickly. And so I think in at that time it made me really look at journalism and like, I really like this because I love history, I love culture, and I love being able to document to tell those stories.
And
Fast forward.
your work's been, you've worked with a lot of big names, like big papers, big
Mhm.
magazines. You've had multiple exhibits. You work with Leica. I mean,
Mhm.
it's all paid off. All this quick, like on the fly, having to learn
Yeah.
has all led you to where you are now.
Yeah.
So it's neat to hear that history and how you're like, I got thrown in. I had no clue.
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
did it.
You know what? And Tyson, that's why I tell people all the time to do it scared. So a lot of times we build things so much up in our mind that, okay, I can't do that. We talk about imposter syndrome. We talk about this is just too big of a job. I can't handle it. And it really a lot of times you're doing things scared. And a lot of times I was doing things scared. And it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try and I'm going to do this. And so that's really been a lot of the early part of my life was doing a lot of things that I had no clue what I was doing. And
That's
I
how
was
I did this
sitting there doing
podcast. I didn't
it.
know how to use Zoom until 20 minutes before my first interview.
Oh, wow.
And then I'd never edited audio until after that first interview. And
Oh,
now
wow.
it's
And now
yeah,
look,
60.
how many episodes in now?
I've got 63 released. I have
Wow.
3 already edited and scheduled. And I'm hoping by February I'm at 104.
Oh, wow.
So the next 3 months of my life are, I'm very busy with recordings. Like,
That's
so
amazing.
I think I have 4 tomorrow.
That's amazing.
I love it. I love sharing the story. It
Yeah.
hits. So I have to thank Kieran for so much, Kieran
Yeah.
Carnani. When we first connected, it was like instant, like we'd been friends for years.
Hmm.
And she really helped me see through the muddy waters that I was trying to find
Yeah.
my niche in this field, in this side of our art.
Yeah.
And it was, the first episodes were very gear related, very much about what you shoot and, the
Yeah.
typical
Yeah.
podcast.
Right.
And then I had one episode 4 with Ryan HK. He's an amazing photographer out of Calgary, Alberta. And he told
Hmm.
me some personal stories about his cancer battle. And I was like, we shifted
Hmm.
right there and started talking about that and life and
Yeah.
struggles. And then when I got to James Rice, James,
Yes.
absolutely
Yeah.
love that man.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool
His
to get,
story is. Oof.
yeah. So he shared his story, and I have a very similar story how I lost my father.
Mm.
So in that episode, I just released this information and I just started talking. And at the end of it, I was like, wow, okay, I feel this weight lifted off of me, but I feel this
Hmm.
deep connection now with James. And it was one of my most personally rewarding episodes I've
Yeah.
ever done. And that was where I realized that the story of the artist, the story of you, the story of how you found your creativity, what it means to you. Because my
Hmm.
camera saved my life. My camera is my
Hmm.
therapy. It is what gave me an out from some trauma.
Hmm.
So I credit the camera for so much, and my creative
Yeah.
outlet was so much, and my connection to being a positive person.
Hmm.
That's where I took this focus. I took that
That's
turn
amazing.
there. And now that's really what I'm trying to push. I'm trying to push about building a very positive community, a very much about artists that are, they're succeeding in their field. They're doing amazing work. And that I feel are inspirations to others coming up. So, I mean, I've looked at your work for a while now, and I've been like, man, one day I'll shoot photos like her.
Oh man. I appreciate that. And you bring up uh shout out to, let me take this time to thank Kieran. I think Karen has been instrumental in, a lot of people in the community, photo communities' lives. Um, she's really good at um, connecting to the heart of who people are. And I think, like, I call her the great connector because she brings people together and connects people who don't know each other personally, but she's like, I have someone I want you to meet. There's somebody that you should talk to. Like that's her favorite thing, to say. And I know, like, if she is bringing someone that she said, "Hey, this is a good person to meet. This is a good person to talk to," that it really is a good person to meet and a good person to talk to. And I think she really is good at encouraging people in what she sees of them and what their, where their heart is, where their voice is, and saying, hey, like you should really think about this or you should really look at this. She's really good at that. And, the other thing too is, she'll check in, just checking in to see how you are, if everything's okay. Is there anything I can help you with? You know? How many people do that? You know?
I do. I do that with her. It's funny. I'm always
Yeah,
like, I always have to preface my text message with, how are you outside of work?
yeah, right.
How are you as you, not how's work
Yeah,
going, but how are you?
right,
And
right.
that's why
That's
I
important.
take what she tells me and the advice she gives and the people that I should connect with very seriously.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you bring up a good point in terms of how are you the person? Um, I've said this before that people kind of judge you by the work that they see, but they don't really know the person. We are more than the work that people see, there's a whole
100%.
person behind that, you know? So I think that is really important to check in on the person behind the work. It's appreciated to, be appreciated for your work, but it also feels good and I think is necessary, for us to check in on the person.
Yes. And that's, again, the preface of the show is about more than the work that you do and more about you as the person who
Hmm.
uses this as an outlet and as a creative adventure. You know what I mean? It's the
Hmm.
journey, but
Hmm.
there's more to the journey because when I hear the story of you, it helps me understand why you take photos in a certain style and the way you do
Hmm.
because it is
Right.
connected. So
Exactly.
we had a small
Exactly.
tangent there, everyone.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's so true. That's so true. And it's amazing. Like I feel like we all have purpose and sometimes we connect to purpose and sometimes we don't. And it's just like a constant state of kind of wandering in and out of things and not really feeling like kind of settled or connected to what we're doing. With some, it's like I do this because it's work, it's a means to an end. You know, I do this because this is what I've always done. But do you feel a connection to that? Do you feel purpose in what you're doing? And for me, I thought I had found my thing when I was doing work as a graphic designer. I thought, okay, this is what it is. But there was always just something kind of picking at me like, this isn't it. Like, this isn't the end. There's something more that I'm supposed to be doing. And I just didn't know what it was. Um, for me, it was that kind of kick in the pants when I got laid off. I was working for USA Today at the time, and I got laid off. And I just remember, like, when I got the call to meet the executive editor in his office, and he's looking like so sad, and he's like, I'm sorry to have this conversation, da, da, da. He's like, but there's this position that's open here, and I want to recommend you for this. Would you be interested in that? And I said, no, thank you. And so he was like, what are you going to do? And at the time, I was an adjunct professor at Howard, and I was taking pictures for the fun of it. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to try this photo thing. You know, I'm gonna keep teaching, but I really want to. I think this is my opportunity because at this point, like with getting laid off, you get a package. So I had like some cushion to kind of back me up to, try some things. And so I just remember like that first day that, well, back up. So, after he, gave me the news of that, and I'm saying bye to my colleagues, coworkers, friends, and everybody's crying. They're like crying, and I was not crying. And they're like, "Why am I crying and you're not crying? What's going on?" And I said, "Because I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be all right." Like I feel like a sense of peace, now. And so what happened was so before I get to this point of getting laid off, I started to feel more of a pull to try out photography full time. But I didn't want to be this starving artist. And I knew I had bills, and I knew I liked to travel, and I knew I liked to do things which takes money. And I had this nice job that allowed me the money to do those things. So my concern was I don't have a client base. I don't have like consistent work that is going to be able to sustain me in the lifestyle that, I want. So I think the layoff for me was like the blessing in disguise where it kind of forced me out there. That's why I said it was a kick in the pants. And so I was out there a little more free to try, um, at that point. But I just remember that first day that I got up and I didn't have to go into the paper. And my dad said to me, my dad he was like recently retired around the time. And he said, how does it feel? And I took a deep breath and I was like, it feels free. And I had never, it was like weird. It almost felt like I had like, it was like the Matrix. Like I had stepped outside the Matrix and the air was different. And I just felt like a release, like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I feel free, free. And I just remember like a friend of mine, Gordon Campbell, who's a musician, producer, all around dope artist in LA, had called me and said, "Hey, I'm working on this DVD. I'm doing this DVD. Can I hire you to do BTS and document the making of this DVD?" And I was like, "Yeah." So went to LA, and so I'm out there for a couple weeks. And I just remember like the schedule, he was like, I'm gonna have to add a couple of shoot days, on this. We need some more time. Um, are you able to, stay a little longer? And so my first line, my answer was, let me check at work. And I was like, oh shoot. I don't have to do that. I was like, yeah, I can stay. Like I can make my own decision to, yes, I can stay. And I just remember like how that felt when I felt like I had more control of my schedule and what I could and, couldn't do.
And was that the
Um,
turning point? Was that the last time you didn't technically work for yourself?
work for
With
another.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I meant. Work for someone else.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. From that point, um, I was, what we independent photographer, freelance, and I continued to teach, and I would do some workshops. I think I really do. I have a love for education and teaching. I come from a family of educators. My aunt actually is the president of my high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which was like, huge too. Um, she's the first African American president, of my school. Um, and it teaching just I love to connect with students. I love the energy. I love learning from them. I love like sharing with them. I love encouraging them. Because the thing I love with, working with the students is seeing those light bulb moments, being able to tell them just how powerful their voices are and to encourage them to pursue those things that they're passionate about. Um,
And
so
you
I
lead by
think that,
example, which is I mean, that's what you did. You had faith in your abilities and
yeah,
that it was going to be okay. And I mean, that you
yeah,
can't have a better role model to be teaching you something or teaching a course for you than someone who's lived it and done it, not just a teacher that
yeah.
says, believe in yourself, you'll do it, but you actually took the initiative and made it happen.
And that's what I tell them is like, I can tell you from personal experience. This is what it's done for me. This is what happened. So I know the power of it. And I'll tell you, Tyson, like doing something that you're passionate about and that connects to purposeful living, doing that thing where you know, like, aha, this is what I'm meant to do. This is where I'm meant to be. And once I came to that understanding, once I started doing that work, um, and people started to tell me how, they would either like thank me for showing them in a light that they had never seen themselves, which I thought was like really powerful. Um, and it was either that or people got emotional um, when they would see themselves in a portrait and they're like, "Oh wow, like I have never seen myself like that before." And they would get emotional and we'd be crying and all the things, or just the way I understand um the sensitivity and the responsibility of when you connect with people and they open themselves up to you, they become vulnerable, and they they not kind of, but they do. They allow you into their personal space. It's very intimate. It's um it's a responsibility to for me, I want to be able to create that safe space that people feel like they can be their authentic selves.
100%. And that's so important. And I mean, when you look at your work, you can see it. You can see there's comfort with the people you capture.
Thank you.
And that's what's so important is I love when people take the time and they get comfortable and then
Mm.
the images are completely different than if you just have this rush moment where you're just, all right, stand here, look here, boom, light up, boom, click, 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 right? You
Yeah.
have that time, you've established that rapport where you can bring out that emotion that they're feeling and show them the image in a completely different light.
Right.
So
Right.
I love it. I love seeing the work that you put out. I love seeing, your drive to continue to teach the next generations to really believe in themselves and push
Yeah.
themselves in a positive way and go after what they want. And I mean, you've done a ton of galleries. I was just reading on your website some of the
Mhm.
list of what you've accomplished.
Mhm.
And congratulations. That's
Thank
incredible.
you. Thank you. I don't take that lightly. And, I feel fortunate. I'm thankful, for those opportunities and thankful to the curators and the galleries or museums who, have thought that, hey, like we like to, show this, we like to exhibit this, I'd like for you to be in this show. I'm really, really thankful for that. And just being able to share those things that were in my head, in my heart, on my camera to, have those in a print that someone could actually experience in person. And the thing for me is what I love is being able to be in that exhibition and explain to people the story behind the image, or people who will say this is how this image makes me feel. And people have pointed out things that I hadn't even really thought about or didn't know how they were experiencing it, which I think is really cool. I would encourage, anyone, photographer, to show your work, to print it out, experience it with other people experiencing it, because they can share with you how they receive it or how they're connecting with it. And it may make you think about things even a little different.
I had the fortunate experience to connect with the teacher of a photo 910 majors program at the fine arts school here where I live.
Mm.
And she brought me in to speak to the kids
Hmm.
and kind of explain what the pitfalls I've dealt with already and the things that I've done as I navigate my path in photography.
Hmm.
And then they brought me back a few months later where the kids had done a complete project on my words and what I
Oh,
spoke.
wow.
So I got to walk the hallways and they had the photos printed and on the hallway walls.
Oh, wow.
And I got to talk to each kid about their
Yeah.
photo and ask them, well, what did you see when you see this? And then give them what I see and
Hmm.
just have those moments. And it was such a rewarding moment.
Wow.
The teacher there, her name is Jen Eccles. She's teaches in a way that honestly, it's that let's learn by doing.
Hmm.
Let's not overwhelm a lot of these kids are just getting their hands on a camera for the first time. So let's not overwhelm them with the exposure triangle and composition. Let's let
Right.
them capture images and let's teach them without them knowing they're being taught. So
Hmm.
it was really cool to hear that because I'm a loose cannon when I shoot. I shoot how it is and I look at
Yeah.
it afterwards and I'm like, hey, that worked. And I don't really worry if about it.
Yeah.
I learned when I first started, I learned everything. I was constantly reading about the exposure triangle, the rule of
Yeah.
thirds, all of it. And then I was like, I just want to wing it. I'm just going to shoot how I feel.
Yeah.
I edit
Yeah.
how I feel. There is no right or wrong because it's
Right.
art and art's
Right.
subjective.
Justice.
So
I agree.
do you still teach at Howard?
So I am on a very long sabbatical, so that so that I could pursue some personal work and projects that I'm doing. I thought I would be able to go back this year, but there's some other things that still working on. So I was just I was at a brunch, with some of the department, some of my colleagues, and our the chair. She was like, I know we just can't get you back now. I see you out there, still doing things. And I said, I really thought I was going to be calling you, this year because, they've really kept an open door, to me, like, okay, like we understand, just let us know when you're ready. Um, and I thought it was going to be this year, but, I told her I'll check in with you again next year. But, right now you know, I'm still working on some things. So
Nice. That's amazing that they're so willing to be open
yeah,
for you to allow you to achieve those goals and those dreams that you've put forth for yourself.
yeah.
I mean, you've done
Tyson,
so.
I did 18 and a half. I taught there for 18 and a half years.
Oh, well, you deserve it then. You deserve to have that time.
I needed to like take a step back a little bit or take a step forward.
Do you have any projects you want to talk about that you're working on currently
That
that
I'm
you
working
can
on
share?
that I can share. Okay, that I can share. It's something that's already out there, but I'm working on where the next home for it is going to be, which is my current work, an exhibition, Soul Connection, or Soul Reflection. I'm sorry, because I had a Soul Connection, Soul Reflection, which tells my personal story through fine art photography, and that was the one that the last gallery that it was shown was at the Leica Boston Gallery.
That was the one where I saw it come up and I sent you the message like
Yeah.
so proud of you. Like this is it's amazing and it inspires me because like I really really want to get my work to that point where
Hmm.
I'm confident enough that it can go up and I'm okay
Yeah.
with seeing it because I'm super critical of everything I do.
Yeah.
So
We
it's
all are.
it's that learning process now, but it's cool. I had a health scare a year ago where it almost took me out.
Mm,
And I realized while I was in the hospital that I've got more time behind me than I have left ahead of me.
mm,
Thanks to the
mm,
great Marlon Wayans for that quote. I know I've
mm.
said it a few times. I forgot to say where I got it from. But what I want to see is I want to see myself, believe in myself deep enough that I can do all of these goals that I have. So
Yeah,
when I see you doing your stuff, and we just connected today, and it's fantastic. But when I see you going after what you want to do, it
hmm,
inspires me to know that there's steps, there's a ladder, it's doable.
yes,
You know, I can make it happen as well.
yeah,
So that's how I look at things. I don't look at anybody
yeah,
like, well, why do they have this and I don't know? I look at it like, okay, cool, they did it. There's
yeah,
steps, there's a ladder. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask questions, and eventually that'll be me.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely possible. Whenever I see other people out there doing all these amazing things, like I'm happy for them. It's like, wow, that's amazing. And a lot of times it's things that I never even thought about, or I didn't see a path, to doing something like that. So to me, that's an inspiration to say, okay, that's something that I haven't done that seems pretty cool. Like maybe I want to try that. If they were able to do it, then that means that it's possible.
Exactly. And that's where it gets away from that competition aspect and you
Yeah,
utilize, you know, me, I'm happy for everyone who's being successful doing what they
yeah,
love,
I
right?
agree.
Because all I want to do, I have 6 kids. So all I want to do is I want to see all of my children be successful doing what they love.
Mm,
I don't
mm-hmm,
want them to have to work as hard as I worked to make sure they
mm-hmm.
had a roof over their head, cars, whatever they needed. I want
Yeah,
them to be like, you know, I'd rather take a pay cut and do this over here because this is where my direction is
yeah,
to than just to be here looking at that dollar. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so important.
It
Eh,
is.
yeah. Have you thought of doing any more galleries in Washington State?
I'm actually in Washington, D.C.
I know, but have you thought about going the other way, back to
Oh,
Bellevue?
going to Bellevue. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, I would love to go back to Bellevue. And well, actually, aren't they in Seattle? Like the
Yeah,
new
just
location is in
they moved to
Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm
No,
just
I would love
saying,
to.
if you do a gallery there, it's only 3 hours from where I am. So I would love to come
Uh,
down
no, I would love
and see
to.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I saw Brandon at the Leica 100 in New York
Yep.
celebration. No, I'm definitely open to that.
I think Vancouver has a Leica store. I stay
Mm.
away from it. It's a little out of
Got you.
my comfort zone at the current moment.
Yeah, man. I bet that's a beautiful store.
Yeah, I mean you've never been to Vancouver. Vancouver is a beautiful city.
Yeah.
I mean we have a harbor that separates the downtown core from North Vancouver. They have
Mm.
killer whales. Everything come right through the
Oh,
harbor.
wow.
We're surrounded by mountains.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful place.
Okay, I have to make my way. I have to make my way.
How did you first get your connection to the brand, to Leica?
Karen.
Yeah.
Karen. Yeah. So, um, there were a couple of people that told Karen and like North America about me. Um, One was Tony Mobley, who's a photographer here in Washington, D.C. And Tony was shooting Leica before I was. And I remember I would see him out at some events and some rallies and some different protests and uprisings. And he would always have this Leica camera with him. The first time I noticed he had the M1040, 240, 1040, 240 camera with him. And then he had like a Q, like a Q, and then it went on to he had like the monochrome. And so when I first start kind of looking at the brand because I wanted something that was small but powerful so that when I would do these protests and rallies, that I could have something that didn't scream professional photographer, but would give me professional results in like a small, yeah. So I started like with the deluxe, and I
Oh,
was out
wow.
there, yeah, I was out there doing assignment work with a deluxe.
How cool is
Um,
that?
yeah, and some of those photos are on the wire, to this day. So that was my introduction. And then from there, I got I was actually going to the year of return in Ghana. And so I wanted to take one camera, one lens. Same thing. I didn't want to bring like my big camera and big lens and, I wanted something very small and unobtrusive, but that could give me these professional results like if I wanted to print it out and blow it up. So I started looking at the M camera, and I start looking at it was the M10P, and I ended up going into like a store here in Washington D.C. and getting that M10P camera. The story, and it's interesting, like when I went in there, there was an exhibition up. I can't remember like whose exhibition was up. I just remember stepping over into that space, looking at the work on the wall, looking at the books that they had. And Tyson, like I believe in the power of words and, the positivity of that and speaking life instead of speaking death. And so I like to speak life even when I don't, see something. I love to like kind of put it out there. So I remember at the time, Lou Cabana was the assistant manager at the time who, doesn't work there anymore, but he was there. And I just remember telling Lou, like, I know he was like, who is this lady? I was like, I'm going to have an exhibition in here and I'm going to have my book in here. And he was like, oh, okay, well, we got space for you, is what he said. And so I was like, yeah, I'm in here because I'd done my research. I'm in here to get the M10P. Can I take a look at it? And so I'm looking at it and I already knew like I was going to get it. I said, yeah, I'm going to take this camera. I'm going to Ghana. I'm going to take this camera to Ghana. And he's like, oh, well, we would love to see the photos. So, come back and share it with us when you get back. I said, I will. And so I took that camera and a 50 nifty 50 lens and went to Ghana. I came back to the store and I shared like some of the images. So going back to Tony Mobley, um, he had been talking to Karen. He knew Karen. Um, and so he was talking to her. And then Lou had, told Leica about me. And Tony was like, you need to check out, Cheriss May, because she's shooting with the M camera. And at the time, I was like taking it to the White House.
Oh, it's
Oh,
just paused out
I
on
took
us.
it to the White House. And,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So I took that M camera, the M10P, I took it to the White House. And so, a lot of times with the fast moving photojournalism work, you don't really see people using rangefinders. I know David Butow, he uses it. Um, and there's like one other photographer that I would see, come in with it. But it wasn't like the norm, to have like a rangefinder manual camera that you're kind of, using for that work. And so Tony shared with Karen that I was, shooting with the M and I was doing all this photojournalism work with it. And so Karen called me one day. And at the time, this was like during COVID time. So we were doing a lot of these talks on Zoom.
Yeah.
Everybody was connected via Zoom. And I had done this talk for Spotify, Zoom talk. And she saw that I did that talk. And so she was like, hey, like, can you do that talk for us? Like that you did for Spotify. And I was like, yeah. And so that was like that first kind of connection to the brand. And I did this talk. And then after that, I just continued to do some talks and just some different things. And yeah, just kind of, that's where, again, that's where I first met Karen. Karen brought me into the family, and it's from there, it's just, it's grown, grown from there.
So you've been with them now for almost going on 6 years, roughly 5 or 6.
Like 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I love the fact that you use the word the uprising
Yes.
instead of protest.
Yes.
I had Devin Allen on, and same thing.
Okay.
He didn't
Yeah.
say protest. He always talked
Yeah.
about uprising.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand what that meant. And then he explained it to me, and it was because there's so much more to what's happening,
Yes.
and he was talking about like barbecues and like people getting together to really discuss the problem at hand. And it was really cool to hear it in that point of view.
Yeah.
And that you share that same word is super
Oh,
important. Yeah.
yeah.
And you're being Washington, D.C., you must know all the photographers there. My friend, Kid Noble, Mr. Reggie Cunningham.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know Reggie. Yeah. Love his work.
He was one of my favorite interviews in the early episodes.
Mm-hmm.
He's a character for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So with your connection to Leica and your work and what I've learned about Leica in the last 2 years about their support for the people, support for anybody who shoots their product.
Right.
It's more of a family than it is a brand.
Yeah.
They really care about the artists that work with their stuff.
Yeah.
And, we both know Kieran, and you really can't ask for a better person to be on your side.
Mm-hmm.
She's very supportive. She's very uplifting. I struggle with imposter syndrome. And when I message her and say, hey, I'm struggling, she's the first person to respond to me and help get me out of my slump.
Karen definitely. So again, like Karen brought me into the family. She was really supportive and, helped me as I'm navigating along this journey. And then, there are also some really good people there now who I, love dearly, that have been helpful and instrumental as I continue this journey. So I'm thankful to Karen for sure for bringing me into the family, introducing me, her continued support, in that, and I'm thankful to, the Leica team there in New Jersey as well for the continued support and riding with me on this journey.
Yeah, well deserved though. I mean, your work is incredible. So never sell the abilities that you have short, because your work inspires many, many people. The way you capture things is incredible.
I really appreciate that, Tyson.
It's true facts. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I love seeing your stuff. You're always, you see an image of you with your camera, and you're always happy. You always have a big old smile on your face, just trying to have the best time possible. And I think that's so important, especially for the younger generations. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you were talking about you had a health scare that almost took you out.
Yep.
So I know and you realize that life is short and tomorrow's not promised. So
well, I was there. I was 10 weeks with no income. I was almost 4 weeks in the hospital.
Jeez.
And I'm sitting in the hospital, and I have an iPad and I have my phone, and I'm in an isolation room. And I'm sitting there trying to figure out, I'm looking at how many episodes I had, and I'm like, okay, I need to get out. My goal was 1 episode a week for the first year.
Oh, wow.
So that was my goal. I had till February 18th, I think it was my first year anniversary. And I was like, okay, I'm at like episode 30, but I have enough recorded to make this happen.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a computer with me in the hospital or anything. I had an iPad and my phone.
Right.
So I started trying to look up to see who I'd had on and start trying to figure out episodes and how I was going to make it work.
Wow.
And then after my whole goal was to be home by my 50th birthday. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that was November 20th. So November 18th, the one
Oh, you're a
doctor,
November baby too.
I'm a crazy Scorpio.
I'm a Sagittarius though.
It's all good.
But I'm November.
We, on the 18th, the doctor came in and they said, "Hey, it's not looking good. I think you're probably going to be in here for another 4 to 5 weeks."
Oh, geez.
And I'm like, ugh, I just want to go home. Like
Yeah.
I only saw them for my antibiotics. So I only saw people 3 times a day. Like they dropped my food outside the door, and I was in this room by myself, and
Oh, wow.
I couldn't go get a coffee. I had to rely on people to get me even a coffee. So,
Geez.
I was there, and I was just sitting there going, man, life is short. How am I going to make all this work? And I just decided, I got home that after the 18th, I was mad. So my wife was there, and I was just being a jerk. And she's like, "I'm leaving." I'm like, fully understand. Like, I'm just frustrated. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad. I'm mad that I'm still here. Then my main doctor came in on the 18th that night and said, "Yeah, I think you're probably going to be here for at least another week. We got to keep running these antibiotics through your body." And I'm like, dang it. I really want to go home. Can I just go home for my birthday and then I can come back? But I was at risk if I left with my infection, that I could get sicker.
Yeah.
So she's like, "I don't think so." So that night I was just, looking up going, if you're up there, just do something for me. Like, this is ridiculous. I've been here almost 4 weeks now. Yeah. And the next morning, the doctor came in to check my leg, and she goes, "I don't know what just happened, but your leg looks fantastic."
Wow.
And I was like, okay. So then she left after, and I'm like, awesome, cool. I'm here for another 4 weeks. Yay. While I'm trying to keep my employer notified, like, hey, I'm still in the hospital. I don't know when I'm going to be back, which they were awesome. They've always been awesome and always had my back.
That's really great. Yeah.
So then next thing I know, the nurse comes in. She's like, "Hey, at noon, you have your last round of antibiotics. You're going home." And that was November 19th. My birthday is the 20th.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, awesome. So I make arrangements with my wife. She's a teacher, so I'm making arrangements with her. I'm like, "Hey, can you get someone to cover your class? I need to be picked up at noon or 12:30. And she's like, yeah, no problem. And next thing I know, they're walking in with my last round of antibiotics. She said, "Oh, doctor said you could have it now. You're out of here in 40 minutes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So I got my last round of antibiotics, and then I texted my wife. I'm like, "Well, can you have someone cover your class now?"
Wow, that's amazing.
And then they came in with a wheelchair, and I said, "Nope, I was wheelchaired into the hospital. I am walking out." And I hadn't walked for really much besides in my room for 4 weeks.
Wow.
So I made it out and came home and lived on the couch in the kitchen because I couldn't do stairs because of my leg.
Right.
And like, we have a little sitting room off our kitchen. And I lived on the couch there for the next 6 weeks.
Wow.
And then, I just got my blood test back 4 days ago, and everything's good. All my tests came back positively in the positive way. So now I can get back out there and I can really start pushing my work again and doing what I want to do. But it definitely was an eye opener.
Yes.
From a small
you fully understand, what that is.
It started as a 2.5 millimeter cut that turned into a staph infection that took over my whole right leg.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, and it took forever to get antibiotics to actually go and fight it.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm not taking anything for granted. So,
yeah, you really, really can't. And when you have experiences, like that, personally that story, or we've all had loved ones that we've, lost, and it starts to make you really think about, life is short. Let me just try to do those things that I love to do, while I'm here, and, hopefully positively affect someone, that just makes this place a better place to live.
And you know what? Your work definitely does affect people in a very positive manner.
Thank you.
And just you in general, the aura that you bring is very, very positive and comforting.
Oh, you're gonna
So,
make me cry.
oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
I
I
have to
mean,
be,
it's not a bad thing.
I have to be honest with you. I mean, it's when you meet someone for the first time, you've chatted online, but you've never talked face to face.
Right.
You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know
Mhm.
how that interaction is going to go. But I mean, you carry such joy, and I can see it and I can feel it. And your work captures that. The essence of your work is captured through how your joy and the feeling and love of that camera.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you inspire others. And I'm making a really big push, like I was telling you before we recorded, to really bring female creatives to the forefront, because your story is so important. Your struggle is substantially different than most of the males that I've heard about and talked to, and their success story is different.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, being a father I have 3 boys and 3 girls. So, but my daughters are so creative. My oldest daughter is an absolutely stunning portrait photographer. I owe her everything for getting me into photography.
Wow.
My next daughter just graduated with her not masters, her bachelor's of motion pictures.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so she's working sound, currently working sound for Fear Factor Canada, which I thought was
That's amazing.
amazing. And then
Yeah.
the youngest just graduated, and she wants to go into become like a counselor, social worker to help people.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Beautiful.
seeing that and seeing powerful, inspirational people like yourself, I know that if I can just do my part as someone who supports everyone, just kind of uplift a little bit more and bring it to the forefront, more women and kids who really want to be in the creative field can see, maybe they'll find this interview and they'll be like, I can do that too. And that's all I want. I just want
Yeah.
that spark. I want to
Yeah.
ignite the fuse a little bit for them, so they know that there is so many amazing people out there that they can look up to and learn from and ask questions to, and they can be successful as well, because the world's getting harder.
Yes. I agree. All of that, Tyson. I agree. And I think that, really that's what I would want, next generation and younger people, anyone aspiring to not only do this work, but to me, it's like with anything that you do, like, not everybody is creative, you might have a passion for numbers, you might have a passion for science. Whatever that passion is, whatever that thing is, like if you lean all the way in, to that, you just might find your purpose.
100%.
For me, I found my purpose through my passion. And I know that the work that I'm doing is the work that I'm supposed to be doing, is what I'm here for.
I I can 100% agree that the work that you do is not only inspiring many generations of people coming up, kids coming up, teenagers, young adults, because you capture your stuff in such a pure way. Your work it's clean, but the best part that I find about you, anytime I see it pop up on socials, is your smile. You have the best smile. You're
Well,
always having a good time. And that's important. People forget that even if we're unsure of where we are or what we're doing, if we can smile through it and laugh and just feel good, it makes that experience worthwhile.
yeah. And I don't want people to also get it twisted and think that everything is rosy,
Of
or
course.
that, the journey is amazing all the way through, because it's not. There are dips and curves and bumps, and I may get bruised up and shaken up and all those things, but I think that what's revolutionary in it is when you can find the joy throughout all of that.
Yep.
And if you can kind of find that joy, you're going to understand and realize that, those things will pass, that, those bumps and bruises and scrapes will heal. And, hopefully look at that and say, okay, so I'm going to dust myself off, pick myself up, dust myself off, and those bruises will heal, the sores will heal, and it'll just make me want to go harder. And I know that if I keep going, that things will get better, or that there will be some wonderful things and some good things that come out of the pain. So again, don't look at my story as, oh man, like it's just this perfect trajectory or path to, it's not.
Yep.
It isn't. I still, get bumps. I still get bruised. I don't, there are things that I, want to do and I've been told no. There have been some closed doors still. Not all doors are open. There's
Yep.
no like easy path, to it. But, I just feel like what's meant for me will be for me. And I'm just going to enjoy the journey, learn from, those mistakes and kind of bumps and hiccups, or, I feel like there's a lesson, in that a lot of times. And, instead of being angry and just stopping, where I am and staying stagnant, I choose to keep climbing and to keep going and to keep moving. And so that's what I hope that people will see, throughout that, is like it's not a perfect journey. It's not a perfect path. Everything isn't just like handed easily, but that there is work behind the scenes. That there is joy throughout, the process. And I think that really is what helps me to kind of keep going and get through. And it's also helpful to, when people will say, hey, thank you, thank you for, sharing that, or thank you for inspiring. That actually helps too. That helps, me to keep going, because you never know like who may be watching, in what you're doing, or, what you produced, and what it may mean or feel, to them. So yeah, I just try to do my best, and all that I do, no matter how big or small or big, and enjoy the process, enjoy life, while I have it.
That couldn't have been said better. I mean, this isn't a polished road. I mean, we
Yep.
have pitfalls, we have speed bumps, we have walls put up in front of us. Um, the FICE. So FICE actually stands for Photography Heals Your Soul.
Mm.
And the reason it came about is when I was searching for something to replace. I used to be very high level skateboarder, and I lost it due to injury. So I was like, okay, I need something to replace that creative outlet, something that I could push. And I
Mhm.
never thought about photography. My daughter called me one day and said, "Hey, Dad, I got a job at a resort in Mexico, and I need some extra money. I'm gonna sell a camera." And I said, "Okay, cool, yeah, I'll buy it." Just thinking I'll take pictures of the
Nice.
kids and the dog. And then all of a sudden I saw a photo on YouTube. I saw a guy do long exposure water,
Hmm.
and I loved the way the milky water looked. So I
Yeah.
just I tried it for weeks trying to figure out what he did. And I finally got I have it actually printed and hanging on my wall. It's the worst photo I've ever taken, but I got
Mhm.
that milkiness of the water, and I was
Yeah.
so happy and instantly became hooked. So I started really diving deep into to photography and trying to learn the camera. And then as COVID happened, I got laid off for 3 months.
Hmm.
So I had every single day. I live in a pretty forested area, so I had every single day to walk through the trails,
Mm.
capture photos, learn, because I'm okay, that didn't work. Let's try this and let's try this. And then it really started building me up and taking me out of actually a depression I've dealt with my whole life.
Mm.
So then I started going for walks through the forest daily, 3, 4 hours, taking pictures of everything, really learning and feeling that replacement for what I had lost. You know what I mean? that creative spark was back. And
Hmm.
when I can share how I feel about it, when I can tell people my story and my journey, and if it connects and they're like, I need to find that outlet.
Yeah.
And they may pick up a camera, they may pick up a microphone or a guitar or something that they used to have some interest in, and that's their spark. I think the world just becomes a better place when we can share our story. And to hear you share that so perfectly, that it's not all sunshine and rainbows. We still have roadblocks. We still have hurdles we have to overcome. That's a great lesson, and it's so well worded, and I appreciated you sharing that.
For sure. Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, you're an incredible artist, and I think the more people that are open to share and tell story and let people know that it's not always easy, but it's worth it,
Yes.
the better the next generation's going to be, for sure.
Mm-hmm. You know, I always feel like, Tyson, if I'm in a period of a lot of bumps in the road, things don't seem like they're going in the right direction, challenges, I always have that kind of feel and thinking that something amazing is about to happen. Because I feel like if I'm getting hit and beat up so much, something amazing is about to happen. And I'm not going to let this discourage me from continuing to move forward. And so that's the way I kind of process and look at things a lot. If I'm especially challenged, I just know that, something's on the other side that is just going to make me forget about all of this, over here that I'm going through.
You have enough faith in your ability that most of the time people almost reach the mountaintop, and it's a snowy, dark night, and they're almost at the top and they give up.
Yeah.
Where if they would have just kept pushing for that next little bit, they would have reached the summit. And that's what separates a lot of people from, where you want to be and where you are, is that you gave up just a little too early instead of just continuing to push.
Yeah, you're right there.
Oh, this has been great. I appreciate your time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Where's the best place for people to find you?
So I would say I do share on my Instagram and Threads. So you can typically find me there in terms of like kind of being out there in the social media world. Other than that, I share on my website, where if I have like a show coming up or a workshop or, a meetup or anything like that, I will post it on there, and I'll typically like share it to my social media as well. So that's the best way to find me. And if you just search for my first and last name, all my social media is my first and last name. So I keep it
Perfect.
really simple.
That's the best way. It's the easiest to find you and keep it going. It's been amazing. I really appreciate your time today. I would love to do a follow-up with you in the new year. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do 30-minute follow-ups with every guest I've had on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really love when a podcast or a show talks to someone, but there's no follow-up. You talk about the person and you're like,
Yeah.
I knew they were doing some stuff, but there's no follow-up to it. So
Yeah.
I'll be figuring that out as soon as Christmas season's over, because in my life, Christmas is crazy. But I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate the wisdom that you shared, and I wish you nothing but continued success.
And I appreciate you, and thank you for the time. Thank you for the space, the platform, that you have opened up to artists to be able to share their story, their vision, their encouragement, to others.
It's important. It's an important aspect. It's important to know that in reality, we're all a community, and we all have people that we look up to, and we all have people that when you hear that person share that it's not the roses you think it is. I mean, I'm still dodging boulders. I'm still ducking, dodging, making sure that I have the strength to know that if I continue, I'm on the right path, it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes those lessons get lost in the glitz and glam of some of the shoots you've done and the people you've worked. So to hear that avenue as well, it brings it back into the realness. You know what I mean? It brings it back to, I get people going, oh, you must be doing good. You mean you've got all these great people on your show? And I'm like, I still work a full-time job. Yeah. I still have, household responsibility, dad responsibilities, husband responsibilities. I still have all this stuff.
Right.
I just try to do the best I can and give the best product to anyone who listens. I appreciate
that's what it's about.
Exactly. I appreciate everyone who listens. I appreciate every message I get. Every guest that comes on it's amazing because I get to know people on a different level.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you. So keep doing what you're doing and inspiring the youth of the next generation, because the world's a crazy place right now and they need as much inspiration as they can get.
Thank you. And I appreciate you again, Tyson. And thank you for the invitation. And thank you to Kieran, the great connector, who brings people together and makes this community a lot smaller. Yeah.
And now I just need her to actually finish a complete episode so I can release it. Thank you for tuning in to the Life of PHYS podcast. I hope today's conversation brought you insight, inspiration, or just a fresh perspective on the creative journey. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to follow, rate, and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It really helps us grow and reach more listeners like you. For updates, behind-the-scene content, and more, please follow us on all social medias at LIFE_OF_PHYS. And don't forget to check out the show notes for links and resources from today's episode. Until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep living the life of creativity.